Okay, a commenter from my last video pointed out how the world can seem a little hopeless. And yes, when I call out shit on this channel, it does seem a little hopeless. When you start reading and learning about things like fascism, or American law, or intellectual property, or mass surveillance, or the NSA, and all these three-letter agencies, all that shit seems really fucking dark. But don't be a fucking coward in the face of it. Don't do mental acrobatics and convince yourself things like intellectual property is okay, or slavery is okay, or don't use excuses like, what am I supposed to do, to dismiss people's literal fucking oppression and death. I don't expect one person to fix climate change, or take down Apple, or liberate the slaves in the Middle East, or remove IP legislation, oppression. I don't expect one person to do all this, but one thing I do expect is one person to not be so ignorant, which is what this channel is about. I don't necessarily even want you to change your operating system or whatever, but at least be aware of the alternatives. At least be aware about things like mass surveillance. Don't be so ignorant. Maybe don't buy the next fucking iPhone and opt for an older, sturdier model, such as like a Nokia or some bullshit. Maybe don't go to the football games. Maybe don't suck off Pfizer or intellectual property. Maybe be aware about certain things. Stop being such, I guess, a bot or in the matrix or whatever terminology you want to use, and maybe tell people close to you about it as well. Make changes on a personal level and advocate for things. Spread awareness. Don't go rioting out in the fucking streets, obviously, but don't come up with excuses to just not care.
This world going up in flames.
Humans don't like to face hard things. So they do mental acrobatics to convince themselves that it's not that bad. It's actually utilitarian. Actually, it's deontological. It's actually both. I just keep switching whenever it's convenient for me. My impact will never be enough. I'm just one guy. And of course, the classic, what am I supposed to do about it? You see, people had this same mentality during slavery and before the suffragette movement and all that stuff. So all this dark shit went on for pretty damn long, partly because people thought like this. What can I do? What am I supposed to do? Yes, things are hard to face sometimes, but don't be a coward and shy away from it with excuses. Have courage. Have a fucking spine, okay? Messed up shit happens, yes. And yes, you cannot fix it directly, but you can be aware of it, and you can try not to contribute to it, and maybe you can do something about it and tell more people about it. You see, humans have always had power, and I'll prove this right now. If they didn't, why do corporations and governmental organizations spend millions of dollars trying to shape people's public perception about things? Why? If you don't matter, why does the government and companies care so much about what you think? Ignorance of the masses is how small minorities stay in control. Simply knowing something and telling someone about it is actually a lot. And yes, if this happens enough times, if enough people become aware about something, then you have things like the votings change. People do peaceful protests and demand change. This is how things like the civil rights movement happened, for example. And yes, you cannot change the world. I completely agree. I don't expect you to, as I've said multiple times before in this video. But you can definitely be less ignorant about things and make better personal choices. You can educate yourself and people close to you. And over time, things like this really add up. It does matter. So please don't use excuses. Do not take my channel in a negative light. That's not what it is about. It is about just trying to be better, and we all can strive to do that. And eventually, it'll add up on a society scale. That is how we should go about doing this stuff. Thank you for watching. Don't be hopeless or whatever the fuck. And have a nice day.